Sports. We are Fourth. We are Florida.
What does it take to make a Marlins victory? Start with the return of your de facto captain. Martin Prado came back Friday, but last night he shined. He flashed the leather on defense and broke out the wood on offense with 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Add in a little long ball from Derek Dietrich, who hit his 3rd of the year, and the Marlins were in control of the Rockies all night. Throw in a stellar performance from your relievers, and the Marlins bullpen was able to lock down a 4-1 win over their expansion rivals. Today, the Marlins go for their 2nd straight series win. It's Game 3 next. It is a beautiful Sunday afternoon in South Florida. Glad that you're with us. Last of a 3-game set between the Rockies and the Marlins as Miami goes for back-to-back series wins at a, once again, open Marlins Park. Yes, inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth. So a victory last night. And in last night's ballgame, no Justin Bour, dealing with some back spasms. Out of the lineup again today, maybe available off the bench. So who's playing first base? The red-hot JT Realmuto, who's on a 7-game hit streak.
Love to see him getting the opportunity at first base. Now, the idea last year was that he was going to get more opportunity if Justin Bour didn't handle himself so well over there. Well, he did. So JT, 9 games, 8 career starts at first base, and look at the production. This is great for JT. This is going to save his legs now this year and in the long run. We've seen this with other star catchers. Yadi Molina doesn't do it too much, but Buster Posey does, and it's definitely going to help his bat, I think, in the long run.
And how about who's on the mound today? Caleb Smith, my goodness, coming off of his career best start in a number of different categories. He was excellent against the Brewers.
Well, he was absolutely dominant in a position where I really believe that Caleb Smith needed to be dominant, not just for this Marlins team, but for himself personally. We knew that some guys were coming off the disabled list, that some jobs might be up for grabs in this rotation. Caleb Smith put his best performance out last time at the right time.
And trying to keep the line moving because, as Todd mentioned, the rotation has been terrific through the last 6 games, especially with Wei Yin Chen last night and his return. And oh, by the way, Dan Straley back tomorrow. But first, the finale of this 3-game set. We're coming up right after the break with a little bit more on the bullpen because, no, it has not just been the starters, but the pen has been superb as of late as well. Craig Minervini and Gabby Sanchez have that when we come back. Welcome back to Miami. Beautiful day here for a series finale, Rockies and Marlins. Let's go out to center field. Craig Minervini and Gabby Sanchez.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Absolutely gorgeous day here for the Marlins. Been a good week so far. Won the series against LA. 1-1 here with a chance to win the series and the improving pitching staff. What about the opponents going against the Marlins right now?
Well, as an opponent, if I'm on the other team and I'm looking at what the Marlins have, I do not want the Marlins to have a lead because I don't want them to have those bullpen guys coming out. As a hitter, you don't want to face those guys. They're too good. They really are. They're coming at you. They're throwing 95, 96 miles an hour with good off-speed stuff, good change-ups. Those aren't the guys that you want to get your hit off. So as the opponents, you want to get runs early and eliminate those, guys. As the Marlins, you want to get the lead so that you can get those guys into the game because it's going to be hard to come by runs.
Rockies have not scored off the Marlins bullpen in this series, and they've had two good starts as well. But last night, we'll take you through it. Nick Whitgren got two monstrous outs. The tying runs were on at first and third in this spot as he came into the sixth, relieving Wei-Yin Chen, and then Guerrero came in.
Yeah, Guerrero's coming in just throwing absolute fuel. 101 mile an hour two-seamer. I didn't think a ball could do that when you're throwing that hard. There's not enough room, but he somehow does it.
Steck is a major stock. Steckenrider for the Marlins. He's been outstanding, whether it's the seventh inning, eighth inning. He's got closure type stuff. He had a nice inning, and then Bearclaw giving Zig a night off.
Yeah, Bearclaw giving Zig a night off, and what does he do? He ends up, striking out the side? They've just been very impressive the whole entire time. Once the Marlins get that lead and they're able to go to these guys, it's tough to beat them. You cannot do it.
You've heard of whip. How about that? No hits, no walks, and you had 5 strikeouts mixed in there. And that was the key for the Marlins. And as Don Mattingly told me today, the key is setting it up. As you get the lead, you set your game up for your bullpen, and that is really the recipe for a victory. It's been the recipe for the Marlins this week. They'll try to win the series. Colorado, though, looking to do the same. About the ball game coming up next.
Day in South Florida. Once again, the roof is open for the 12th time in 15 home games, and really just soaking up the sunshine. Colorado Rockies in town, last of 3. Then it is off to Chicago to take on the Cubs, and then the Mets. A lengthy road trip for the Rocks, but it's Charlie Blackmon to lead things off. That's the rest of the Rockies order, penciled in today by their manager Bud Black. Caleb Smith is set to go to face the former batting champ, and he misses inside for ball 1. Again, Caleb Smith coming off a terrific start. His last time out against the Brewers, wants to keep the ball rolling and keep the momentum going, not just for himself, but for this pitching staff, which has been stellar the last 6 nights. Outside to Blackmon, and it's 2 balls and no strikes.
See Caleb Smith's numbers on the season. 5.82 ERA, that's up there a little bit. Part of that's because of the walk. Certainly something he is going to control today. Hopefully do a little bit better job of that as you see him fall behind Blackmon. Now 3-0. Fastball just on the edges. Well, his last start, that was not the case. Fastball was right where it needed to be on both corners.
Blackmon 1 for 4 in last night's ball game, 1 for 9. The one a home run. 1 for 9 in the series. He homered in last night's ball game as he takes strike 1 there. 3-1. With that home run, it was his 9th to lead the National League, tied for 3rd in Major League Baseball. And on 3-1, sends it out to left field. And Derek Dietrich puts it away for the first out.
Great sign on the early going. 3-1 pitch. Charlie Blackmon gets him to fly out to left. Let's see the Marlins defense. Brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Centers. Dietrich back in left field. Brinson in center field today. Cameron Maven gets the start in right. Anderson at third. Rojas at short. Castro, Real Muto making his 9th career start at first base. So Holiday's behind the plate for Caleb Smith.
Here's Ian Desmond. Swings at the first pitch and swings over the top of 95. May have gotten a piece. Either way, 0-1 to Desmond, who was 1 for 2 with a double last night. Was also hit by a couple of pitches in the 4-1 Marlins win. Terrific bounce back in the last start against the Brewers on the heels of a start at Yankee Stadium when he gave up 5 runs, 5 hits, 5 walks. But again, the control was much better, very efficient, worked rather quickly.
Well, he worked farther into the ballgame, and I think that's part of the great results, the efficiency. You know, we all fall in love with the 10 strikeouts, Paul, but I think 77 pitches through 6 innings, you probably could have made the case for more other than the game situation itself. So for Caleb Smith, he wants to get that ERA down. That's what's got to happen. Of course, you see, listen, he's got great numbers. Lefty's hitting 227, righty's 213.
Up the middle, a base hit for Desmond.
For Caleb Smith, the first breaking ball of the game gets turned right back around and sent up the middle.
In steps Nolan Arenado. Quiet in the series, 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout last night. 0 for 6 in the first 2 games. But overall hitting .316 on the year. That's good enough for 8th in the National League.
The Marlins in this series have controlled Arenado. He's not been a force offensively. He's got good career numbers, against the lefties. And so far this season, he's hitting above .400 against the lefties.
Arenado off to another decent start through the first month or so of the season. .316 average, 4 homers, 12 RBIs on the heels of last season when he hit .309. It was the first time he had hit .300 in his career. .309, 37 home runs, finished 4th in the National League MVP vote.
You see Caleb Smith really honing in on the outside corner. Wei Chen did a fantastic job last night, particularly against the right-handed batters. That fastball away, little tailing action. Rockies hitters very aggressive.
Now keep in mind too, with the additions of Wei Chen and Dan Straley coming back tomorrow, guys will be a little bit off the routine, and that's not to say that it's a bad thing, but Caleb Smith would have been scheduled to pitch yesterday, moved back a day. Harlan Garcia is going to get a couple of extra days in between starts. So for a relatively young staff, a little extra rest here and there.
You take the under as opposed to the over, right? Overworked or underworked. And I think when you've got a young group, under sometimes is the right way to go. You can control the momentum. It's no mistaking what the bullpen did last night. Absolutely outstanding. No walks, no hits, 3 2/3 innings. They're rested. They're being used properly. They're not being overexposed.
Just below us, and it's still 1-2. Well, there's Dean Traynor. So yeah, he can rest and relax now. He usually doesn't have to perk up till about the 6th inning the last week or so.
First couple weeks in April. I mean, goodness, it was all hands on deck from like the 2nd inning on, right? Caleb Smith partly responsible for some of those starts.
not his last one, and that's the key. You get things under control in your rotation, and everything starts to work itself out.
Upstairs to Arenado, 2 balls and 2 strikes, and Don Mattingly mentioned, giving some credit to Dean Trainer and pitching coach Juan Nieves about how those guys have been kind of working through this pitching staff and really trying to impress upon the young guys just the ability to trust your stuff. You know, the strike zones are a little tighter in the major leagues, so you gotta throw strikes. So we've seen these guys pound the strike zone during this terrific run for the staff as Smith gets the strikeout of Arenado, 2 away here in the first.
Well, how about it? Goes to the changeup, same spot that he goes and picks up a couple of strikes on the fastball. Now he hasn't been using the changeup as much this year, but good pitch. Is Arenado willing to chase?
So the first for Smith after a career best 10 his last time out. In steps Trevor Story. 1 for 4 with a strikeout in last night's ball game. 2 for 8 with a couple of strikeouts in this series. But 1 hit each of the last 2 nights has helped to extend a 7-game hit streak.
This Rockies team will run. Put a few guys in motion. Stolen base attempts. Galen Smith will have to do a good job of keeping an eye on that today. See Desmond over at first.
It's a little off, and it's 1-1. This Rockies team is 3rd in the National League in stolen bases. Desmond had 1 last night, so obviously Smith keeping an eye on that as he is set to deliver a 1-1 to Trevor Story. And the runner goes. Throw from Holiday, right on the money. Caught stealing for out number 3. The Marlins step to the plate against Chad Bettis when we come back. But WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. Chevrolet, see your South Florida dealer today, and by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Beautiful day in South Florida, 81 degrees, 12-mile-an-hour breeze, we'll call it. I don't want to call that a wind. That's a breeze. That's very nice. Partly cloudy, roof, windows open again. It's been open 12 of the 15 games, closing in on the season high set back in 2013. JT Realmuto to lead things off. Take strike 1 from Chad Bettis. Bettis, a guy who will work quickly, has been arguably, at least ERA-wise, the best starter for the Colorado Rockies this year.
Bettis has been good. Get knocked around his last time out, 4 runs in the first inning against the Padres.
The rest of the order behind JT Realmuto. Brian Anderson back at third this afternoon. He's played right. He's played third. Obviously back there with the day off for Martin Prado. Two and two from the Lubbock, Texas native. Ground ball to Story at short. And there's one away.
This could be the scouting report for Chad Bettis today. 6'1", 200 pounds, 29 years old. Here it is, the Auto Nation scouting report. He is the man. Listen, Chad Bettis is a cancer survivor, ladies and gentlemen. In 2017, listen to this story. He had chemotherapy in March. By August, he was pitching. I'm absolutely amazed at that. It's an incredible story. I'm sure we'll break it down more for you throughout the ball game. More with less. Off to a great start. Paul had just mentioned that 3-0 with a 2.40 ERA. He's leading this Rockies staff. 3 starts on the road, 1.40 ERA, all with the lowest fastball velocity in this rotation. Time for a change. Keep your eye on that today. It's a big pitch for him. So far in 2018, hitters only batting 133 against that changeup, and he's recorded his most strikeouts on the pitch.
Sixth start of the year. Second round pick back in 2010 by the Rockies out of Texas Tech.
Chad's been around as a Rocky for a while. He's figured out the altitude and then jumping out on the road, how that's all going to work.
Look out.
Good look. It's played by Desmond over at first base. My goodness, on the ricochet. You got to see his cut fastball right there. I was actually just getting ready for the arsenal. There you go. 4-seam fastball you'll see from Bettis. It's right around 90, 91 miles an hour. Good changeup. Mentioned that. Obviously, the cut fastball throws it about 15% of the time and does have a curveball.
Dietrich 2 for 4 in last night's ball game. Hit a home run. 3 for 5 in the series. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 2 away here in the first.
A quick look at the changeup. This is what we're talking about. The diving action. Good tilt down in the zone. Marlins batters are going to have to pay attention for that today. I'll give you the Rockies defensively, brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center. Dahl gets the start in left field. Blackman in center. Cuevas back in right field today. Arenado, Story, Valleca at second base. Desmond gets the start. Walters behind the plate. There you go. Desmond at first base. Walters behind the plate. Rockies very good in Walters' starts. 7-2. He's behind the dish.
He gets the nod. Day game after a night game. Chris Iannetta the afternoon off. 1-1 to Starlin Castro is inside. Castro 1 for 3 last night, 2 for 7 in the series. 36 hits this season. Not going to get many hitting to that guy. Across the diamond. And a 3-up, 3-down inning for Chad Bettis through 1 in Miami. The second inning, last of a 3-game set. It is the rubber match between the Rockies and the Marlins. Caleb Smith mentioned his 10 strikeout performance. Did it on just 77 pitches. Impressive last time out.
Listen, historically speaking, you see the 77 and where that falls. And what I want people to understand, and I know we're just kind of giving you the short version. I've got a little longer list of 11 people, but 7 of the 11.
Story, left field, Dietrich toward the line, a long run for the first out.
It's a nice job maintaining control right there for Dietrich. All right, so getting back to Caleb Smith and how significant his last start was that 7 of the 11 games are all in September. Actually, one of them's in October. That's when the rosters expand. That's when you've got younger lineups. So when you see somebody say, all right, I'm going to, you start mowing through a lineup, you would expect that maybe it happens a little bit more in September when you've got some of the younger guys going. Caleb Smith, it's the soonest in the season in the last 30 years, people. That start in Milwaukee was absolutely dominant. Get this. Of the 10 strikeouts, it took him 40 pitches to get those 10 strikeouts.
Wow. That's pounding the zone.
Well, 30 of them, right? I mean, are putting you down. So there was only plus 10 on 10 strikeouts. That's absolutely incredible. I mean, that's how dominant he was. He was putting the fast. I mean, it was like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, go sit down. It was like the Bugs Bunny.
Exactly.
I mean, it was unbelievable.
Ball and 2 strikes to David Dahl. Pinch hit last night and was hit by a pitch, and he goes down swinging here for the second out of the second inning. Time now for our Toyota Inside Look. Look at these numbers, right? This is kind of what you're talking about, but more so throughout the season. 19% of his outs are strikeouts, and 4 pitches or less. And this is across all of Major League Baseball, 9th highest strikeout rate.
Well, it speaks to his stuff. And what Caleb Smith did in his last start is he did a better job of getting more out of his stuff. We've talked about length, efficiency. Well, how about this inning? Been pretty efficient, hasn't it? 6 pitches. There you go. We'll talk to you in a few minutes.
Might have to text it to you folks just so you have a chance to digest.
During the middle of the 8th inning, the Marlins Year, the fan sweepstakes presented by Auto Nation. Marlins fans are automatically entered to win when your digital ticket is scanned on eligible dates. For official rules, visit marlins.com/Y of sweepstakes today.
Ball 1 to Brian Anderson, Cameron Maben, Miguel Rojas to follow. 4, 5, and 6 due up against Chad Bettis, who set the Marlins down 1-2-3 in the first inning. A couple couple of groundouts and a strikeout. Anderson 1 for 8 in this series. 2-1. Last night's ball game was 1 for 4. About a month into the season, still at or near the top of a lot of rookie leaderboards for Mr. Anderson. He takes a called strike 2 from home plate umpire and crew chief Field and Culbreth. CB Buckner's over at first, Chris Conroy at second, Brian Onora at third. Ground ball up the middle, a base hit for Anderson.
This is the changeup, up at the thighs, does a nice job staying in between, pulling his hands through, and rolling over the top. Probably would have been an out to the left side. Instead, it's a base hit up the middle. Good start to the second inning.
So here's Cameron Maben. He's down the bunt. That one will fall foul. Maben came in as a defensive replacement last night, 0 for 2. A couple of at-bats in this series against Colorado.
He's hit .294 over his last 7 games, so he's starting to heat back up again.
Just below the zone, a ball and a strike. It's the second career start and third appearance against the Marlins for Chad Bettis. They got a head start, but that one fouled off. 1-2.
Little hit and run. Good to see. The Marlins being proactive, trying to put some runners in motion. Swing on. That's why you saw Maben going down right there. He's deliberately swinging into that pitch as Anderson was off.
One-two pitch is lined out to left field. It sends Dahl back, and he's able to track it down. Anderson has to run back to first.
My goodness gracious. David Dahl, great running catch in left field. 2 strikes. Well, in fact, let's give it the fresh catch of the day for Bonefish Grill. All the way to the warning track. He had a great drop step and was able to accelerate rather quickly. A couple steps in front of the wall. Watch Cameron Maben. He's pretty surprised that ball was caught.
And in steps Miguel Rojas. It's interesting, and in a way, again, the way that you guys look at it, like to me, it looks like a great catch. You notice the first step and how that sets an outfielder up to make the catch.
Well, he gets himself into position. That's how the catch is actually made. So much of the catch, you know, is about how you get to the ball. It's the route you run. It's how fast you get there. When you have a good drop step and you pick a good line, you'll watch an outfielder make what looks to be an uncatchable ball a catchable a catch.
Runner goes. Ground ball to third. Arenado to second. Safe at second base. Anderson had a little bit of a head start out at first for Rojas. So it was a close play at the second base bag.
Anderson was on the move. Arenado decides to go to second anyway. They're going to go ahead and finish this as well. Can't really tell on that. Certainly Rojas at first base.
The Rockies are going to let that one go. So Anderson at second, and Rojas is out on the 5-4-3 force. Lewis Brinson takes low and in. One more look.
It certainly looks like he just beats the ball to the interior of the glove. In fact, remember, the call is safe, so you'd have to have clear and convincing evidence to overturn it. A good opportunity for Brinson is it's up. Nice last couple of ball games here at Marlins Park. See the season series, now 2 for 7. He's had a couple of walks. Moved up a spot in the lineup.
He's reached base safely in a career best 7 straight games. That's right. Dan Straley making his season debut tomorrow against Jake Arrieta on the air at 6:30 for the opener of a 3-game set against the Phillies. First unfinished business here against the Rockies, trying to win back-to-back series for the first time this year. Now, overall, across the board for both of these teams, these are situations that neither club has really had success in. A combined 6 for 39 entering play today. It's a 154 batting average with runners in scoring position in this series. Rockies only have 2 runs. Scored on a relief pitcher double. An RBI double from Antonio Senzatella on Friday night, and the home run from Charlie Blackmon in last night's ballgame.
Well, they're a little banged up right now. Don't have all their regulars in. DJ LeMahieu went down earlier this series. Sounds like Cargo. Carlos Gonzalez will be back at some point. He's close, but not quite there yet. They're trying to get their offense put back together. For the Rockies, now would be a good time. This is the first stop in a 3-city road trip. They're going to go play the Cubs, and they're going to go play the Mets. So
Brinson base hit right field. And a wave him around. Here comes the throw from right. It's off the mark. Brinson to second base, and he gets the toe back. And in there, the Marlins have a 1-0 lead.
Love the aggressiveness with 2 outs. Gonzalez sending him all the way with the hard contact, the line drive, base hit to right. We talk about Brinson and the improvements. Cutter up at the belt, does a nice job, front foot down, short compact swing. How about a 2-strike approach? Yes, I went there. Nicely done by Brinson. High throw, easy read as he makes his way into scoring position.
How about starting the runner? Brian Anderson on the ground ball from Miguel Rojas. He starts. He's in there by that much. Otherwise, it's a double play that ends the inning. Instead, gets it to Lewis Brinson. He gets the RBI single, and the Marlins have a 1-0 lead here in the second.
Yeah, great base running. Cuevas comes up in a very high throw. Certainly allowed Anderson to score, certainly helped. Now another runner in scoring position. I mean, these are the small things, Paul, that we've talked about throughout this homestand already. Marlins doing a better job taking full advantage of a balk, taking full advantage of miscues, and turning them into runs.
Holiday in his first action in this series, about to see a 1-1 from Bettis. Swings and misses at the off-speed pitch, and it's 1-2.
Holiday's reached in 6 of the last 7 games he's played. Come up with a few big hits. Some good numbers. Hasn't played the Rockies a whole lot in his career. 3 for 7.
Center field for Blackmon. A can of corn to end the second inning. But Lewis Brinson with an RBI, and it's 1-0. 1-0 lead as we go to the top of the third. Downstairs to Kelly Sacco.
Thanks, Paul. Well, we're going to check in with how the guys are doing down on the farm, starting with the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Isan Diaz acquired in the Brewers trade for Christian Yelich. He's off to a hot start as of late, hitting .333 in the last 10 games. And Austin Deed leading the Southern League in batting average, hitting .442. Guys, to put that in perspective, if he went hitless in his next 30 at-bats, he would still be hitting well over 300. He's off to an incredible start for the Hammerheads. Jorge Guzman off to his first start this Saturday. He struck out 7, gave up only 2 hits, no earned runs over 4 innings pitched. A lot of great things happening down in the minor leagues.
Thank you, Kelly. Absolutely. Guzman coming over in that trade with the New York Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton involved, Starlin Castro involved, of course, as well. And that kid can get the ball up to home plate in the 100-mile-an-hour range. So another big arm. A lot of players, 27 some odd players added to this farm system and to this organization since last year's trade deadline. As Caleb Smith delivers a strike to Pat Valleca, Tony Walters and Chad Bettis to follow. So again, the 27 players added to the organization, all in an effort to create depth, to create competition. And Valleca lines one to Dietrich, who has caught the first out of all 3 innings.
Hey, Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app, take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
Bring up Tony Walters. But again, that internal competition, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at a guy like Trevor Richards. He strikes out 10 Dodgers. This team was on the brink of a World Series victory last year. Strikes out 10 Dodgers and he gets sent down. And that's all part of kind of what's going on here. I mean, it's a fine line, I suppose, between, you know, feeling like every day is an audition, but at the same time having that little bit of fire in your belly, like, listen, if I don't contribute, somebody else will. And that's kind of the overarching theme of where this organization is at right now, and that is what is driving these players to succeed.
Well, you have a lot of young players getting opportunities here at the major league level, some coming and going, but the bottom line is the big league experience. Time and time again, you can talk about all the reps you're getting in the minor leagues, but the value of the opportunity here at the major league level serves those that even get sent back down, so that when they come back up a second time and continue to work on what they're learning up here, they're even farther along in the process, more ready to go. It's part of the organizational depth conversation.
On our Toyota trend, again, the last 6 starts, it's that internal competition for any pitching staff. You know, the Glavine, Spoltz, Maddox Braves, or a young staff like the Marlins have right now. It's, can you top what the guy did yesterday? The strikeouts to walks, that's where this team wants it, almost 4-1.
Yeah, how about 9 walks? I mean, we think back to what a lot of the issues were the first 2-3 weeks of the season.
Lined out to Dietrich, 2 away.
Dietz is getting some reps in left field today. He's been on his game so far, 4 putouts already. Yeah, the 9 walks really stands out to me. We were talking about league ranks, issues, efficiency, bullpen usage, all those innings. You see the paper trail. I mean, it's what that conversation ultimately becomes. You start controlling it. Even if that opponent's batting average goes up just a little bit, but you're still not walking the hitters, you're getting much better results.
Well, it was in Milwaukee where there was a couple of games where, and Don Mattingly's referenced this the last couple of days with how good the staff has been this last turn, was 15 walks over the course of 2 games. It's a lot of traffic to try to maneuver around.
It's inactivity. I mean, it's negativity. I mean, pitch counts are going up, which means other players are getting involved, bullpens are getting exposed, and you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting outs.
Low to Chad Bettis. Wei-Yin Chen, a terrific outing last night. 5 1/3, 3 strikeouts in his 2018 season debut. His addition kind of forced Trevor Richards out of the starting rotation, but sounds like it'll be a good learning experience for the youngster. Tell you what, Caleb Smith not clowning around. 9 up, 9 down. The homestand continues with the Philadelphia Phillies coming to town at the start of play today. A half game out of first place in the National League East. They've been playing some good baseball. Marlins have won 3 of 4, so looking for a good series against the NL East rival Phillies. All the games start 7:10 first pitch, so the pregame show on the air at 6:30 Eastern time. Jake Arrieta against Dan Straley tomorrow. So another weapon for Don Mattingly. As guys continue to get healthy. We've seen Rio Muto for about a week and a half, and Martin Prado back on Friday. Wei-Yin Chen back last night. Dan Straley will make his first start of 2018. Line drive down the right field line, 0-1. So again, this team getting healthy, this team getting stronger, and Straley met with some members of the media today and was kind of talking about, you know, how he feels and how he's getting back, and you know, kind of where I was going as we went to break in terms of, you know, Trevor Richards with the 10 strikeouts and getting sent down, and you're feeling good, but Dan said that he struck out 11 Astros and then he got sent down when he was a little bit younger. So it can be a learning experience to give you an opportunity to kind of take a step back and just kind of see things from an arm's length a little bit differently than in the grind of the everyday major league lifestyle. And then the next time you come up, you're better for it.
You have an appreciation, right?
That too.
Or for what goes on at the big league level. That's right. There's some vulnerability. Everybody has it. You got to come up there and you got to do your job. Everybody's leash is a little bit different in length. Sometimes things happen. You end up having to go back down and get back up here. You certainly want to stay here. I mean, that's ultimately the goal, but your point, you do everything right. You go down, you make your trip to the minor league an effective one, and you come back up, hoping to be better than you were the last time.
Caleb Smith broke his bat on that last foul ball. He's down in the count 1-2 to Chad Bettis. After Smith, top of the order, JT Realmuto and Derek Dietrich. The Marlins up 1-0, an RBI single from Lewis Brinson.
Not sure if that was a great take by Caleb or he just couldn't see it because he's in the shadow.
Keeps fighting him off.
He certainly does. He took a great curveball. I'm telling you, the pitch before it was right out over home plate, and he did not go fishing for it.
Well, mentioned the roof has been open 12 times in 15 games, but not since opening day and then the Sunday of that season opening series against the Cubs have we had an outdoor, or rather an afternoon game with the roof open. So the shadows really haven't been an issue for about a month or so.
Well, they definitely are today. Hitters are now completely in the shadow, and the rest of the Rockies team minus Walters is in the sunshine.
Real Muto squared, pulled it back. A ball and no strikes. He grounded out to Trevor Story back in the first inning. Four home runs for Real Muto is tied for 4th in the major leagues among catchers. Not getting out of the park, but he'll take a base hit the other way. A 1-out single here in the 3rd. Derek Dietrich up next, and Derek Dietrich taking on the Rockies today, brought to you by AARP. A .391 hitter with a home run, 6 RBIs, and 5 doubles. So just as Real Muto has had some success against the last 2 opponents, the Dodgers and the Rockies, same can be said for Dietrich. He struck out back in the 1st. He's up with a man aboard here in the 3rd, and he takes a called strike.
Now Dietrich comes off the road trip. As you see, the 3 for 6 in the series. He was slumping just a little bit. Really loves to hit here at Marlins Park. 328 on the season.
Again, the perfect elixir, I suppose, to break out a bit. Back home, you mentioned the numbers here. His last 8 games against Colorado. It's 12 for 26.
Colorado Rockies are playing him to pull on the infield. Nato, the only man standing on the left side. Story has now moved to the second base side. Dietrich will go the other way. Seen him do it a number of times. He will not roll over to the right side. He'll stay through it.
Already 50 pitches for Bettis. Number 51 is outside. 3 balls and a strike. Dietrich making sure he's getting the signs from Freddie Gonzalez. Fly ball left field. I don't think I've seen him stand outside the box and stare down to third base for that long, that much. That's why I pointed that out.
I've seen some more running, certainly this afternoon, if you guys put in motion.
Come out to the ballpark and celebrate Cuban Heritage Night when the Marlins take on the Braves May 11th. To join the festivities, purchase your tickets today at marlins.com. Puerto Rican Heritage Night last night. A lot of energy in the yard. We had Greg Minervini playing instruments. I mean, it was.
Well, why'd you forget? You forgot your instrument. I don't know what was going on.
I told you I was going to, you know, like makeshift bongos on the desk.
Pull a handheld drum out of your backpack.
I was going to lug a piano up here like you did. I mean, I'm not that strong.
Starlin Castro, ground out victim, his first time up.
Again, 31 hits this season for Castro, 6th best in the National League, but the 2nd most, as 5 players have 32 hits.
6-game hitting streak versus the Rockies.
To third. And that'll do it for the Marlins in the 3rd inning. They lead it by 1 here in Miami. A 1-0 lead for Miami as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Series finale as the Marlins look to win back-to-back series for the first time this year. Brian Anderson back at 3rd this afternoon. It has been Martin Prado the last 2 nights. Let's check in with Kelly Sacco.
Hey guys, well, Charlie Blackmon hit his 9th home run of the season yesterday, and with that 9th home run, he now leads the National League, and some can attribute that success at the plate to a lot of different things, from coaching to the adjustments he has made throughout the year. But there are others who think it's his beard that's been the secret. That's right, guys. As you can see, as his beard has grown throughout the years, so have his number of home runs. In 2011, his rookie season, he was clean shaven. He only hit 1 home run that year. And then the biggest jump, of course, from 2015 to 2017, where he hit 37 home runs. That's a career high. So guys, there are the numbers. I'm gonna let you guys decide. Is his facial hair the key to his success at the plate?
I mean, it's got to be, right, as he hugs the line there for a leadoff single. What was that last one? Brooklyn dwelling freelance lumberjack?
Something like that.
That is very creative.
Family Barbecue. Very creative names there. I cannot take credit for those. That was the guys from the Cespedes Family Barbecue. So kudos to them for describing his facial hair so creatively.
High school senior splotch. This is fantastic. Yeah, it has to be the beard, right, Todd? I mean, maybe you'll have more analysis on this?
Well, it's
statistical.
I mean, I would look at it like this. It definitely explains the power. Now, if you go back a few seasons back to, you talked about the beard coming in, right? 2015, where he really started to grow the beard. That season, he stole 43 bases. So as the beard started to grow in, the speed went away and the power started to show itself.
Well, he's not as aerodynamic. The wind gets caught in the facial hair.
You're picking up what I'm putting down right now, pal. And that's where I'm going with this. Only 1 stolen base on the season this year. And in fact, last year only had 14.
Right.
And he's been trending in the opposite direction. More power, less speed, bigger beard.
That's why I'm not fast, because of the scruff. It really holds me back. Otherwise, I mean, dude, I'm like lightning.
Well, you should grow that beard out then. the Brooklyn lumberjack version.
Freelance.
I'd like to
freelance
see that.
lumberjack. Freelance.
Okay.
He's an independent contracting lumberjack.
Right.
I mean, come on now. Swing and a miss to Desmond. 2-1.
So there's your answer. That's what I've come up with. More power, less speed.
Right.
Clearly makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, look what happened with Andrew McCutcheon. He had the long hair, the dreadlocks. He cut them off, and all of a sudden he couldn't hit.
Samson.
Exactly. Ian Desmond had a base hit back in the first inning, was caught stealing on an absolute strike from Brian Holiday, right on the money to apply the tag. He's up with Blackman off of first here in the top of the fourth. Marlins up 1-0 on a Lewis Brinson RBI single. And Smith gets his fourth strikeout. He's had one in each inning thus far. And now a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
One on, one out for Nolan Arenado. One of the 4 strikeout victims so far for Caleb Smith.
Arenado 0 for 7 in the series.
We mentioned Caleb Smith's start against the Brewers and how terrific he was. Also went back to look at that start against the Yankees in the previous outing for him, and he said in between, he said the days felt like they were going by so slowly. He was just ready to get out there, go again. And Arenado pops this one up. Shallow center field. Back is Rojas, but it will be Brinson for the second out. Hey, you wonder why, or you wonder how he kind of managed the extra day's rest this time around. You know, you get the 10 strikeouts, career best. I'll go back out there in 3 days, Skip. And instead, you know, got to pace yourself a little bit with Chen coming back and having to move everything back a day. But I know you weren't a pitcher, but all the in-between start routines that these guys have to adjust them a little bit.
Well, you certainly can appreciate the enthusiasm that he had based on the quality of his last start. It's like a hitter when he finds the barrel a couple of times, he wants to get back. That's the privilege you have as an everyday player. You get to come back and do it right away. As a starter, no matter what, you got to wait. When you find it, air quotes around it, the major league level, boy, you'll play double headers, triple headers, and twice on Sunday. I mean, you throw it all in there. You can't get to the yard fast enough.
Trevor Story flew out to Dietrich back in the second inning, and he takes off the edge. 1-0. Marlins live on the air tomorrow, presented by your South Florida Honda dealers. Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Nelson get you set for Dan Straley's season debut. First of a 3-game series with the Phillies in town. This one lined and looped softly out to left center field. Dietrich puts it away. He's had a busy day. That's 5 putouts. 1-0. On Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches, and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by the Coral Springs Auto Mall across from the Coral Square Mall. We make it easy. And evidently make it a little awkward too in the truck. Somebody having a good time on Cafecito Cup giveaway day. That's right. That's right.
I've been counting the number of pinky fingers up is what I've been watching.
With class.
Right.
Got to drink it with class.
I think I had 5 out of 6. Sulz might be the only. John Sulzer, executive producer, may be the only one who did not have his pinky finger up.
Well, he is in a class all by himself.
What is it with small cups that makes that pinky go up?
Well, there's not enough room to kind of hide all your fingers in that,
Really?
burly mug. You got to kind of get them out of the way.
You might be right.
Anyway, 2-2 to Brian
Small
Anderson.
cups are, I think there's some element of sophistication there, right? That clearly I'm missing.
Correct. Yeah.
Just wondering why the pinky opens. I see it. Anyway. Brian Anderson, base hit to center field.
Alongside the caveman, Todd Hollandsworth. I'm
right.
Paul Severino on a Sunday afternoon here in Miami. Have you done the Cafecito yet at all?
I have not.
I haven't either. And today might be the day. The special giveaway cup. If you know somebody, maybe we'll have it sent up to the booth. We've had
the last thing I need is a Cafecito. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just kind of referring to the caffeine.
That'll be fine. You'll be okay. Anderson, a drive out to left center field. Moving over toward the gap is Dahl, and there's one out here in the 4th. We'll bring up Cameron Maben against Chad Bettis. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Strike to Maben, who flew out to left field back in the 2nd inning. Well, Todd brought up the backstory of Chad Bettis and his road back to the major leagues. He underwent surgery in November of 2016. He had testicular cancer. That's Valleca. So he's undergoing cancer treatments throughout the spring and into last year. 9 weeks of chemotherapy, when doctors then discovered in March, just before he and his wife Christina experienced the birth of their first child, that the disease had actually spread to his lymph nodes. but he was an inspiration for this team last year. He's going through the treatment. He lives in Arizona. The team was on the road against the Diamondbacks. He popped in. Charlie Blackmon actually told me in an interview last year that an amazing attitude, as that one is gone. A home run for Miguel Rojas.
Keep it going, Miggy. That a boy.
His 4th homer of the season. 2-0 Miami.
Got out the cape on that one. How about a one-handed finish? Nice extension. Career high number 4. Mentioned it during last night's ball game. That was a tough 0 for 4 he took last night. He hit the ball very, very well. Lined out a couple of times. Little slider. You see it kind of roll in. Stays up. That's the key. Does not get to the bottom of the strike zone. Look at that extension. Finish and follow through. Just enough to get it out to left field.
Homered off of Kershaw the other night. He's also homered off Arrieta, Zach Wheeler, and now Chad Bettis added to the list. Brinson, shallow center. Blackmon for the 3rd out. But a home run for Miguel Rojas. And it's 2-0 Miami. Two-run lead to work with now. Let's go downstairs to Craig Minervini.
Well, it was 22 years ago as we look back on this 25th anniversary season, a connection between these two teams, both coming in 1993. One of the great moments in Marlins pitching history, the first authored no-hitter in Florida Marlins and Marlins franchise history. Al Leiter, 103 pitches, 60 strikes. He walked a couple, struck out 6, an 11-0 win over Colorado. In the first inning, Al was throwing 92 miles an hour. By the 9th inning, he was throwing 95 miles an hour, and he said after the game, can't describe how he feels: jubilation, relief, and exhaustion. Steve Ripley was here often as the umpire supervisor. He was behind the plate and marveled at the way Leiter was able to control that game. And the Marlins have been able to have 5 no-hitters since then, but everybody's going to remember that one indeed. They've had 2 each decade, and it was Al Leiter at the first against the Rockies.
Craig, thanks so much. Exhaustion with Al Leiter? Holly, I don't see it. That man is wired and rambunctious. He doesn't get tired.
He doesn't even need to drink coffee.
No, he doesn't. But
or
he does.
Cafecito.
Or Cafecito. But he absolutely does. Thank you very much, Craig. Craig, by the way, will have the call for the 3-game series against the Philadelphia Phillies coming up as Dahl strikes out. That is now 5 for Smith. He's had 1 inning.
This is a great use of his slider against Dahl. Went low in the zone and then lower in the zone to get the punch out.
So in steps Noel Cuevas. Popped out to Real Muto at first, back in the 2nd inning. Squares to bunt and takes strike 1.
Well, one thing we've seen from Caleb Smith over his last 2 starts, no walks. It's outstanding. Great stuff. It's why he's getting deeper into ball games, obviously giving the Marlins a chance to win, and Caleb Smith the opportunity to win a baseball game. Certainly pick up maybe his first Marlins win today. 8 first-inning walks. That really stood out, but over the last 2, obviously none. He's done a very nice job controlling the tempo of the at-bats. Quite efficient in his arsenal.
And back-to-back strikeouts. That's number 6 for Smith.
Show you one more time. Ranting and raving about the slider to Dahl. How about the changeup to Cuevas? Down in the zone, starts out over the plate. Low the knees when it gets there.
So here's Pat Valleca. See, here's the thing, is that Don Mattingly's talked about, different guys in different spots, but regarding Caleb Smith, he said he's done all he's needed to prove at AAA to get the opportunity to be a big league starter. And in a day and age where so many young pitchers are either not afforded the opportunity that 3rd time through, he has shown you, Caleb Smith has shown you he can handle the 3rd time through. 1st, 2nd, 3rd time through, 189, 243, 222.
Stuff plays. I mean, that's it. I mean, that's what all the numbers, that's the strike percentage, that's, everything that you see when he throws the ball in the zone and the results that he gets tells you he should be better than what his earned run average tells you. It's just trusting his stuff, and now he's starting to. And, Caleb Smith probably will go on, my guess, and have a very, very nice major league career. No reason to, wander into predictions here. But the point is this: he will circle this period of time in his life, and he'll remember it as the period of time he really turned the corner and figured out what it took to be a big league starter and why he's got the career that he's got.
And he strikes out the side here in the 5th. He's got 7.
Here we go again.
So on the tail end of a career best 10 his last time out, 7 through 5. Here at the ballpark as the Marlins have a 2-0 lead into the bottom of the 5th inning. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, beautiful afternoon here in South Florida, and a nice day so far for the Marlins as they look to take 2 of 3 from the Rockies. First pitch swinging. Brian Holiday is retired, 6-3 to begin the 5th, and that will bring up Caleb Smith.
This summer, the World Cup is coming to Fox and FS1. Every match live and over 300 hours of coverage. The world's biggest sporting event begins June 14th, only on Fox and FS1. It's time for Caleb Smith to get his first major league hit. Just saying. Strikeout victim in the 3rd.
Tapped in front of home plate. Caleb Smith retired for the 2nd out.
Of course it was. Well, 2-footer there for Smith. Still searching for number 1.
That's all right. Quick at-bats, get him back in the dugout, rest up. Right now, he's contributing on the mound.
I was plugging his first major league hit is what I was doing. And I said it was a good time for his first major league hit. And as soon as I said, he taps one out in the mound. And I'm like, now he's got to run. And he's got no chance of being safe. Like, that's not it.
Top of the order, JT Realmuto 1 for 2. Singled back in the 3rd. An opportunity today with Justin Bour dealing with some back spasms. Don Mattingly said before the game they're going to try to work on Bour, maybe be available later in the game in a pinch hit situation. We shall see. But an opportunity today for Realmuto to keep the hot bat in the lineup. As with the hit back in the 3rd, it's now an 8-game hit streak for JT.
Getting some starts at first base is also a way of keeping his bat in the lineup and keeping his legs healthy. Steve Bettis trying to quick pitch him. That's a big part, I think, long term. I love the idea. It was talked about a little bit more last year. We didn't see it too much with JT just because Bour was handling his business both against lefties and righties. But, you know, getting JT a few starts at first base throughout the season, a break from behind home plate.
Well, we've seen it with other guys, right? Joe Mauer, Buster Posey. Just try to get him in there and still get the at-bats without the wear and tear of having to, squat for 3 hours a night, right? Especially given the fact that JT has been so durable throughout his career in the, in that Yadier Molina neighborhood of games played and innings caught and all those sorts of totals for playing time for a catcher.
Martin Prado. We'll call it brotherly advice. The discussion going on over there.
3 up and 3 down for the Marlins in the 5th. They've got a 2-0 lead.
listen, we've talked about Caleb Smith, how great he's been over the last 2 starts, including today. And obviously, we showed you what Al Leiter accomplished a few seasons ago. I couldn't help but notice, I thought, boy, those mechanics look identical. Now, maybe a little higher on the leg kick from Al Leiter, but Caleb Smith, how about it, right? I'll tell you what, last 2 starts, he's been getting Al Leiter-like results. I bet if you go up to ask Caleb Smith, would you take Al Leiter's career, he'd tell you yes.
And if you went up to talk to Caleb Smith, you wouldn't talk to him nearly as long as you talked to the very chatty Al Leiter.
Not possible.
Not at all. Al asks you how you're doing. It turns into a 15-minute discussion, and he hijacks the conversation. But enough about our buddy.
Caleb has been, he's, as is just every Marlin on this team, a lot of these younger players, very, very respectful. I mean, I'm getting way too many sirs around here. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm trying to tell everybody to loosen up a little bit. Younger kids, tell you what, yes, sir. Yes, sir, what?
Tony Walters, Chad Bettis, Charlie Blackmon, 8, 9, and 1 due up for the Rockies. Walters with his first start of this series. Iannetta got the start on Friday and Saturday night.
Well, we've ranted and raved how good the Marlins pitching has been throughout this series and of late. Now ball to the right side. First out here in the 6th. I'll continue on. So the Rockies now 13 hits in 77 at-bats in this series, hitting below 171. They're 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Of course, no opportunities today. And just 2 multi-hit innings. This Marlins staff has been outstanding.
Well, they've scored 2 runs in this series, and their quote-unquote offense has scored 1. Charlie Blackmon with a home run. And Antonio Senzatella, their reliever, who came in on Friday night.
He wasn't even supposed to get that at bat.
That's right. He had the RBI double in a and listen, that was all the Rockies needed on Friday night, so give credit where it's due. But Senzatella with the RBI double Friday, that's been really it. And a great deal of credit goes to this Marlins staff right now. Another strikeout. That is 8.
Let's take another look at how good Caleb Smith has been today. First pitch fastball, 94. That inside lane, then he goes right down the middle at the bottom at the knees, and then right back, well, almost down the middle of the plate. Didn't have to get too cute. Chad Bettis in the box. Right at him. 93, 94 miles an hour 3 times in a row. Speaking to the efficiency, he's racking up the strikeouts. Paul, you mentioned it, batting average times through the lineup. He's getting better as this game is going on.
Well, he has struck out 7 or more now 4 times this year. His first start against the Cubs, he had 8 strikeouts. Against the Mets, he had 7. Of course, the 10 against the Brewers, and the 8 right now. And he's only at 69 pitches. That's when 70 pitches, and he's got 8 strikeouts. It's in the 6th inning. It's on a nice little run here.
Well, nobody, Brewers included, have forced him to deviate from his pattern.
Blackmon grounds to second. And a 1-2-3 6th for Caleb Smith. 8 strikeouts along the way. He has got 8 strikeouts inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth with you. Thanks again for joining us on a Sunday afternoon as the Marlins look to take 2 of 3 from the Rockies. But look at this now. However this goes, and hopefully it continues to go this way, but this is back-to-back great starts from Caleb Smith.
There's no reason to believe it won't. Offenses aren't forcing him out of his game plan. We talk about this all the time. You know, you get yourself into a routine. You start attacking with the fastball. We saw it in the Brewers series. The Brewers tried to make adjustments, but they didn't. Lorenzo Cain had a base hit. I think Yelich ends up hitting the home run on an elevated fastball. But other than that, he got right back into rhythm, struck out a few more guys, and ultimately comes out of the ball game. Today, going up against the Colorado Rockies, has stayed aggressive with that fastball, sprinkled in the changeup and the slider in a couple of key spots. But again, the Rockies have put really no extended pressure on him. He has not been in the stretch with runners on second and third or anything else like that. So for me, Caleb Smith, this is probably going to be a good chunk of what you see moving forward. I'm convinced of that. We've seen the stuff. 93, 94, you don't make it up. It's not like he just showed up a couple days ago. So this is who he is.
Well, here's the thing, and this is a very extreme way to put it, right? But we watch batting practice every day. Those pitches are grooved. Is every pitch hit over the wall? No. So the point of it is exactly what Smith has been doing, what this pitching staff has been doing, pound the strike zone, throw strikes, and allow the hitters to get themselves out at times.
Well, and the other thing is that his confidence is rising with all of this as well. I mean, he's starting to blossom. He's in a spot where he's trusting everything that's coming out of his hand. He's putting the ball where he wants it, and he's getting the result that he would expect. You can see it in his look, and you tell so much about your, who you are, especially with ball players and their body language. And Caleb Smith's body language for the last week has been head high, good posture, great results. A lot more smiles.
Well, he has kept the line going for this pitching staff, which has been pitching in the 1-5 range the last 6 or so games, as Derek Dietrich goes down looking for the first out of the 6th inning. It's 4 strikeouts for Chad Bettis.
Let me add this, and I think you'll agree with me, Paul, as well, kind of getting back to Caleb Smith, just a final thought. As a player, it's so fun in your career when you move past prospect status. Prospect's a fun word when you're in the minor leagues. It's fun when you get traded and you get a new opportunity with the organization. It, kind of validates the value that the organization has for you. But when you can drop the label and say, I'm a big leaguer, I'm no longer a prospect, you've proven to yourself that you belong.
It's a short story on the run. 2 down. Yeah, you always hear guys saying, prospect or suspect. And right now.
Well, and it kind of chases you even when you get to the big leagues nowadays. I mean, I think in my generation, the label would, be in the minor leagues, and you had your top 10s and 15s, and then, all that fun stuff that kind of gets talked about. But you get to the big leagues, it would kind of go away instantaneously when you got there. In today's game, it's so interesting to me. That label seems to stick a little bit.
Yeah.
Guys, for, I don't know if it's 30 games, is it 10 starts, but, it kind of hovers over some guys, and I've got to believe, and I'm probably going to go head down tomorrow and start talking to him about it, because I think it's a very interesting point in that, when you finally get past prospect status, you've proven to yourself, I'm a big leaguer, I belong up here, my stuff matters, and I'm proving it to everybody.
Anderson pops this one up right side, but that will reach the seats. 0-2 to Brian Anderson, who singled and scored back in the 2nd inning. Came around on the Lewis Brinson RBI single. Miguel Rojas with a solo home run in the 4th inning. The 2 runs for the Marlins.
Think about the month worth of games we've seen from Anderson, how much he's grown from last year. Last year, a complimentary piece in September, kind of getting his feet down. Now he hits in the middle of the lineup just about every night, handles the lefties, has put up some good numbers, is taking walks. It's like, how do you view him in the last 30 games? You're like, man, this kid's grown up a ton.
That's inside.
I know people, they complain about the September call-up and the rosters are different, the rules are different. But the benefit of being able to live the big league lifestyle as Desmond tracks it down in foul territory really helps the kids the next year. We're through 6. The MLB Ballpark app is the perfect sidekick for your visit to Marlins Park. Order food from your seats, view maps of the park, and even access your tickets and get into the park. Get up-to-date offers when you register on the app. Download the MLB Ballpark app today. Lots of youngsters in the ballpark today, walking around the outfield, and kids will be able to run the bases after the game, as they always do on Sundays. So nice to see. And how about the start for Caleb Smith? Starts, I should say. The Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Last two, 6 innings apiece. And if he can register an out in this inning, it'll be 6 1/3, and that will officially be the longest outing of his career.
Well, how about the walks, right? No walks, 18 punch-outs. I love the punch-outs, but we'll take the outs either way. But it's just amazing how he has flipped the script, and he's gotten aggressive inside the strike zone, and he's believing in himself, and he's executing pitches. I mean, we had so much information kind of coming into this of what the walks have meant to Caleb Smith. I'll throw one out for you. He's got 15 walks on the season. All right, 5 of those walks have come across and scored runs. That's part of why his ERA it looks the way that it does. That's actually the 7th highest walk percentage of walks that have turned into runs.
A 1-2 to Ian Desmond is low and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Desmond, Arenado, and Story for the Rockies. Three-2 to Desmond is fouled away. Well, sometimes the key is just miss bats, or excuse me, miss barrels and not bats. I mean, in a day and age where strikeouts are not as big a deal on the offensive side, therefore certainly up for the pitchers across baseball. Sometimes pitch to contact, let your defense work. Marlins have a pretty good infield.
Well, coming into today, would you agree that 227 and 213 are pretty decent, batting averages against, meaning he's not giving up tons of damage to one side of the plate?
Right.
And that's just the facts. I mean, when you look at somebody who's got splits, in my opinion, both lefty and righty, clearly he's got the ability to get both sides out. That means his stuff is legit. We went there before the Brewers start. I mean, he had all this evidence that said Caleb Smith's going to be really good if he just figures out how to do things more efficiently.
Well, that right there is the first walk that he has issued today to go along with 8 strikeouts. Now a message from FPL.
At FPL, we're using technology to help us keep reliability high and bills low. That's how we're changing the current.
Well, you put the lefty-righty splits up against the times through the order averages, which are certainly terrific, 1, 2, 3 times through. And it all gets back to what Don Mattingly has said about Caleb Smith in the last couple of weeks. He's in this rotation with the Chens, with the Straley's coming back. He's in this rotation because he's done all he needs to prove at AAA, and he deserves this opportunity. And that's really all you hope for, whether it's Smith or any number of the other young Marlins, is when you are given the opportunity, can you succeed in such situations? The 0-1 to Arenado, now 0-2.
The Marlins are developing good problems in the rotation. Straley back, Chen back. Urania coming off a fantastic start. Caleb Smith, Dylan Peters,
Harlan Garcia,
Harlan.
So yeah, of course, with now again to speak, which I shouldn't, but to speak for the coaching staff, you know, you've got some young guys, you can kind of maneuver it around a little bit, give guys extra days off. But just in terms of the actual roster spots to bring Straley back, again, that move is not official just yet, so there hasn't been a corresponding move to add him back to the roster, as Cameron Maben is underneath that one, and there's one away here in the 7th inning. But again, you figure that there are going to be some tough decisions that have to be made for guys that have contributed to this club.
It's a work in progress. When the organization gets to a point where guys are going down because they've got too many good things going on at the major league level, then you've got some depth. That's when you're really starting to get some things done. Steckenrider up Marlins bullpen.
6 in the 3rd. Now the longest career start for Caleb Smith, as he gets Trevor Story to foul that one back. 0-1. Story is 0 for 2. Couple of flyouts out to Derek Dietrich in left field today. 18 strikeouts over the last 2 starts for Caleb Smith. Last time out 77 pitches, this time at 83. Rockies on the first stop of a 3-city trip to Wrigley and then Citi Field afterwards. The Rockies team that has lost 5 of 9 coming into today. Marlins, on the other hand, have won 3 of 4. Right side, Castro to second for 1. They get the lead runner, and Story's aboard with the fielder's choice.
I like it. Slow roller to the right side. Starlin Castro, listen, he could have taken the shore out at first base, rolled the dice just a little bit. Speedy Desmond out at second base, able to pick up the lead runner.
So Story at first with Dahl at the plate. He has struck out twice today. And again, Caleb Smith has given no indication that he's, about to lose it right here. But, every pitcher has it until they don't. But again, you get to a point like they did with Harlan Garcia, where you have to be able to pitch when you're a little tired later in the game. That's how you grow. It worked for Garcia, and it seems to be at this point working for Caleb Smith. Two and one.
Caleb Smith still throwing hard at 88th pitch. The outing today, 94 miles an hour.
Stutter step back for Story, but he's there in time. They play 3 men on the right side of the infield against the lefty Dahl. Tied a major league record with a 17-game hit streak to begin his career back in 2016. He's currently on a 5-game hit streak to begin the 2018 season, fresh off the disabled list. 3-1.
You have the young right-handed hitter in Cuevas on deck. You'd really like to see Caleb Smith finish this inning off. This may be his last hitter. Marlins up 2-0.
Well, if it is, he's got a chance to finish him off with a strikeout. 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs. That will release Story from first. Snapshot at the efficient afternoon for Caleb Smith at 90 pitches. 2 outs here in the 7th inning. Comes the 3-2. Got him swinging. The 9th strikeout of the day for Caleb Smith as he sets Dahl down 3 times, protecting a 2-0 lead. Another great start from Smith. 2-0. Miami, time for a game summary. 2nd inning. That is Brian Anderson to get things started. A leadoff single. He would come around to score on this RBI base hit from Lewis Brinson, smacking one the other way into right field. Anderson in the score, so it's a 1-0 lead at that point for the Marlins. On the 2nd with the throw, and then in the 4th, Miguel Rojas connecting on his 4th homer of the season. Takes that hanger out to left field. A home run off of Chad Bettis. That's been it in terms of the offense, but once again, for the 2nd straight start, Caleb Smith, an amazing outing for the Marlins. As he gets through 7 innings of work, he strikes out 9 along the way. He's surrendered just 2 hits.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant today. 91 pitches, 9 strikeouts. Dare I say, repeats, right? Encore presentation. I asked for it yesterday. We got it. This is exactly what we saw in the Brewers series, and then a little bit more. An extra inning. Obviously, the no runs. Good stuff. Sprinkling in the secondary pitches. Obviously, always key. Good changeup, good slider today as well.
So he's getting some handshakes in the dugout. Looks like that is going to be it for him. And if it is, another terrific outing for him, as this really, not just for him, but it also continues the story of what this pitching staff has done. If you go back to Caleb Smith's last start when he went 6 innings and struck out 10. After that, Harlan Garcia, 6 innings, struck out 7. Dylan Peters, 5 1/3, 1 run against the Dodgers. Trevor Richards, 10 strikeouts against the Dodgers. Jose Urena went 7 in the opener of this series, struck out 5, gave up a run. Wei-Yin Chen in his season debut, 5 1/3, 1 run. And then today, Caleb Smith. So the story continues for the pitching staff of the Miami Marlins. And Dan Straley makes his 2018 season debut tomorrow night, the opener of a 3-game set against the Philadelphia Phillies. Straley passing on some knowledge, some experience. All three of those games against the Phils, 7:10 first pitch. Marlins live pregame show on the air at 6:30. Jessica Blaylock and Jeff Nelson have you covered on the pregame show. Craig Minervini up here with Todd Hollinsworth for that 3-game series, as the Marlins look to keep things rolling. Bettis, by the way, still out there in the bottom of the 7th inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Cameron Maben.
Bettis has been rolling pretty well this afternoon. No surprise there. He came in as the Rockies' hottest pitcher, minus the hanging slider to Rojas, and a 2-strike. I will call it a mistake. It was up in the zone. I thought it was a pretty good piece of hitting by Brinson. Other than that, he's been lights out as well.
But he issues the walk, the first that he has given up today, and Maben is aboard to lead off the 7th. Four hits for the Marlins today, but one of them off the bat of Miguel Rojas, a home run, his 4th of the season.
Rojas, I mentioned a little earlier, nice day yesterday, didn't get any hits. Swung the bat very well, hit the ball hard 3 times. Keep an eye out for this first pitch now. The last 2 home runs for Rojas have come on the first pitch. At times a little more aggressive early in the count.
Rojas, along with the home run, also grounded into a strange little 5-4-3 force out back in the 2nd inning. Brian Anderson was the runner on at first. He was off with the pitch, so got a little bit of a head start on the ground ball to 3rd. Arenado decided to go to 2nd. Anderson beat it out. Otherwise, it would have been an inning-ending double play. Instead, kept the inning going. Brinson came up with the RBI.
Let's take another look. Behind, hanging slider, exit velocity 94 miles an hour off the bat. That projected distance 370. It's a great swing, great extension, and it was a little different for Rojas. I mean, usually you see him keep both hands on the bat most of the time. Top hand came off as he went out to get that slider just a bit.
What's the difference on the follow through? 1 hand on the bat, 2 hands
Extension.
on the bat?
I was notorious. I had to almost on all of my swings, and where I had to go to the outer 3rd, I had to let go of my top hand of my bat because I have very short arms. I couldn't reach if I kept, your swing gets shorter when you keep the top hand on and you finish through. So you can get more extension out here than here. So you let the top hand go and it gets farther out.
Martin Prado looking for some equipment, so we might see him. Brinson's in the on-deck circle. Also have Holiday in the hole, so perhaps he would be getting set for the number 9 spot. I'm sure we'll all find out together. Close eye on Cameron Maben over there at first base. Maben had 33 steals last season, which was 2nd in the American League.
No way! It's inside, bro. It's inside.
Rojas thinking that pitch was inside, and if StatCast or our little Fox box is any indication, I would tend to agree with him. But it's up to Field and Culbreth, who said strike 3.
Well, let's watch PitchCast one more time, see where it's at. Oh, right on the edge, maybe just a smidge of that corner. It certainly seems like it's on the outside, but I will admit to this, probably a little too close to take.
So Rojas retired for the first out here in the 7th inning. 5th strikeout for Bettis this afternoon, and that'll bring up Lewis Brinson, who had the RBI single back in the 2nd. When we were in Milwaukee, Brinson had the 2 home run game. He had another home run in that series, but there were a lot of strikeouts mixed in, right? Los Angeles, he had a double. We got here, he had a double, a couple of base hits. Do you think he's starting to break out of whatever he was in, or making the adjustments to be a little bit more consistent as Maben goes? Throw down to second is in time. Maben caught stealing 2 away.
That throw right on the money. Decent jump from Maben. Boy, we've seen some strong throws today. The first base side of second. Like to take the throw and get the tag down as Maben makes his way in. Close, but not close enough. There's no doubt Brinson looks better without getting too technical. It's late in the game. The point is this: just watch the rhythm, Marlins fans. Watch his hands, watch his body language. Look how much slower it is. You reference or even go back and look at Milwaukee, everything was a totally different speed. It was quicker hand movements, a quicker front foot hitting the dirt. It was a quicker hip opening up to the ball. Right now, he's now starting to get into that rhythm where things are starting to process more slowly, and the game is kind of becoming, you know, a little more clear to him.
This one out to center field, hit pretty well. It sends Blackman back. He'll have space out there. And that will do it. We are through 7. It's 2-0 Marlins. T-Mobile. We got the Phillies coming up next series, but how about today? Ozzie Albies with his 9th home run of the season. Took that one off of Vincent Velasquez. He's hitting .292 on the year. The Atlanta Braves playing some pretty decent baseball at the moment. So are the Phils, of course. Albies off to a great start. Swanson off to a great start. Ronald Acuna called up earlier this week. He's hitting .389 in limited time. So the Atlanta Braves are certainly coming together, a young team. Speaking of youngsters, how about what for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Nick Kingham is doing in his major league debut at the moment? He is through 6 perfect innings against the St. Louis Cardinals with 8 strikeouts.
Stuff plays. That's the reports. I saw a few of those reports a couple days ago. Obviously delivering. So much for big league debut jitters.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so.
Settle right in. Well, that is officially going to do it now for Caleb Smith. His day is done after 7 amazing innings, 2 hits, and 9 strikeouts. Drew Steckenrider in to pitch in the 8th inning, try to protect this 2-0 lead. He'll face Cuevas, Valleca, and Walters. In fact, he'll face Gerardo Parra, who pinch hits for Cuevas here in the 8th inning.
Steckenrider, very nice April. 42 ERA on for the 14th time. Last 3 have been scoreless. Only 1 hit over his last 3 appearances. Good stuff. Watch him move the fastball around. 93, 95. You just witnessed the breaking ball. Has a changeup.
Parra hitting .224 this year, 2 for 7 in the series, but a .309 average last year in 115 games for the Rockies, and more of that 300 hitter type swing there with a base hit into right center field to begin the 8th. Pat Valleca hits now, playing second base the last couple of days, last 2.5 really, with DJ LeMahieu, their everyday second baseman, tweaked the hamstring on Friday night. Sounds as though he's going to, hopefully for the Rockies, avoid the disabled list, but sounds as though unavailable for the remainder of this series, were the reports today. Let's go downstairs to Kelly Sacco.
Thanks, guys. Well, for the Valleca family, baseball runs in the family. Some of you may remember Chris, his older brother, who played for the Marlins in 2013. He finished his career with Cubs, currently coaches in their minor league system. Matt Valleca, another brother, he played in the St. Louis Cardinals organization for a year. Pat Curley in his 3rd season here with the Rockies, and their youngest brother, Nick, drafted in the 24th round by the Pittsburgh Pirates out of UCLA, which was Pat's alma mater. The brothers attribute that success to their father, Jeff, who sadly fell into a coma in 2015. He remains on life support today, and the entire Valleca family continues to hold out hope and have faith that he will one day awake from that coma.
Thank you for that, Kelly. Yeah, absolutely. Our thoughts with the Valleca family. And listen, that's one of those things, Todd. I know you're doing it right now with the youngsters at home and trying to bounce around all the different baseball fields, yeah. And in hopes of one day having 3 or 4 kids drafted.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what they want. That's it. I certainly don't push my kids in any direction, although they do know their bloodlines.
Right, of course.
That's right. On both sides of their family. So yeah, it's what they love and certainly what they're after. That can clearly relate to being readily available for batting practice during the winter every day. It's one thing we love down here is that the sun always shines in Florida. South Florida, you get warm temperatures.
Steckenrider gets the strikeout of Valleca. There is 1 on and 1 out here in the 8th. 10th strikeout for the Rockies today. First 9, of course, thanks to Caleb Smith. Here's Tony Walters now.
We've continued to rant and rave Marlins dominance on the pitching side of things in this series. How about this afternoon? Here we are in the 8th inning. Parra comes in, pinch hits. He's only the 2nd leadoff batter of an inning to reach. No Rockies touch second base today. That's how good they've been. Charlie Blackmon led off the 4th with a base hit. He didn't move.
0-2 to Walters. Flew out, grounded out so far in 2 at-bats today. Again, seeing his first action of this series, but when he played on Wednesday, had a multi-hit game, giving Chris Iannetta a day off prior to their Thursday off day, travel day here to Miami to begin their 3-city road trip. And the 0-2 pitch is fouled away, stays alive. Called strike 3.
Another strikeout for Steckenrider. My goodness gracious. I'll tell you what, secondary pitches have been outstanding. Good breaking ball. Walters gives up on it. He thinks that's going to be outside. He catches the outer third.
So 2 away as Ryan McMahon comes off the bench for the Rockies to pinch hit for Chad Bettis, who was just about as good as Caleb Smith outside of a base hit for Brinson that drove in a run and a home run for Rojas. But other than that, worked deep into the game for the Rockies. But his day is done after 7 innings of work.
McMahon has not made a start in this series. Did double switch into a ball game. 1 for 2, has a walk.
Oh, and 2. He made his big league debut against the Marlins last August. Got his first big league hit against the Marlins last August. He also played in the 2017 Futures game right here in Miami last July. You'll see an 0-2 from Steckenrider that's at 95 miles an hour, but not in the zone. 1-2. Twelve strikes of the 15 thrown for Steckenrider.
How dare I say, a very common split for Steckenrider.
There's another.
Very common result right there.
Gives up the base hit, but then strikes out the next 3. 2-0, middle of the 8th.
History. How about an unassisted triple play? Former shortstop, now Toronto Blue Jay, Troy Tulowitzki. Always fun to see.
13 of them, right at that point in time. Did you ever hit into a triple play? Please
Nope.
tell me no. Good. That's got to be the worst feeling in the world.
Well,
Double plays aren't
I don't
fun.
think you feel accountable. You know, well, maybe you do. I don't know. I suppose you possibly could. I don't know. Having never hit in one, I really shouldn't. I should just be quiet now. You hit into a double play, sometimes you feel responsible for it. But the one thing I learned, it was like, well, you always hit the ball hard when you hit into a double play. If you hit it soft, they never turned it on you. You know what I mean?
But there you go.
Whole goal is to hit the ball hard. All right, J.B. Shuck on deck.
Brian Shaw out of the bullpen for the Rockies. And it's 0-2 to Brian Holiday. You saw Gerardo Parra, who came in to pinch hit, stays in the game out in left field. And that moves David Dahl out to right. Saw Shaw the other night. And this is his 17th game of the 2018 season.
We talked about it. We saw him the first time. Certainly looking at what he has done. A big part of this new revamped Colorado Rockies bullpen. Everything moves horizontally. It's either a slider or a cutter. Cutter you'll see at about 95 miles an hour. Slider you'll see, as you just did, 83 to 85.
Two to Holiday, all the way to the backstop, 3-2. Well, Shaw was brought over a 3-year, $27 million contract. There's also an option there for the 2021 season. But yeah, you talked about the revamped bullpen. This year, the Rockies will be paying approximately $44.5 million. Outside to Wade Davis, Brian Shaw, Jake McGee, Adam Ottavino, and Mike Dunn.
MLB At Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get Marlins home screen icons and features such as the MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download the MLB At Bat today. J.B. Shuck
squares to bunt, gets it down. Walters fields, no play at first with the speed of Shuck. And the Marlins have 2 on and nobody out in the 8th.
Well, a nice job getting the cutter down. That pitch was hunting. Boy, oh boy, working itself way inside on Shuck. He's able to keep that knob straight. Did a very nice job of pulling that knob through just a little bit so he can get some better wood on the bat. See that right there? He kind of pulled that barrel back. That's because of the cutting action on the fastball. Not an easy pitch to get down. Well done. Marlins don't bunt a whole lot. Only 4 sacrifice bunts coming into today. That's tied for the fewest in the National League.
Now they're set up to add some insurance to a 2-0 lead with JT Realmuto, Derek Dietrich, and Starlin Castro, the next 3 scheduled batters against Brian Shaw and the Rockies, already leading this one 2-0 in the 8th inning. Realmuto extended his hitting streak to 8 games with a base hit back in the 3rd. First base today with Justin Bour dealing with some back spasms. So a way to keep him in the lineup, get him off his legs a little bit over there at first base. There's Bour. And by the way, on the back spasms, Don Mattingly was asked if there's any concern long term on that, and he said no, not at all. Three and 1. Shaw has been part of super bullpens before, if you will. The Cleveland Indians for a few years as he issues another walk.
I'll tell you what, between Shaw and Walters, they're going to have to get on the same page right now. Watch Walters, he's lost about 3 or 4 of his cut fastballs, kind of the glove chasing that cutter. Time a home plate umpire sees the catcher's glove moving around back there, you're not going to get strikes. Part of it is the movement, no doubt the velocity as well, but Walter's having a hard time keeping the glove, the catcher's glove in its spot. Little opportunity here in the 8th. Marlins to open up this lead.
So here's Dietrich. Still without a grand slam in his career. An opportunity here. Holiday at third. Shuck the runner at second. Realmuto at first. Spins away from that one. A ball to no strikes. Rockies will play the infield in, try to keep this at a 2-0 deficit. First time Dietrich has seen Brian Shaw in his career.
Shaw is really struggling with the strike zone. Doesn't throw very many pitches straight. In fact, right there, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He was just trying to get one back and straighten it out. And for Dietrich, he has to anticipate the action of the baseball towards his swing. In. Right there, even that cutter to the outside part of the plate has action towards him as the left-handed batter. Maybe he wants to think about pulling this baseball.
Just got the low and away corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Holiday was walked to start the inning. J.B. Shuck laid down the bunt. His speed meant there was no play at first base, and then a walk to Realmuto. Former Marlin Mike Dunn loosening. Dietrich strikes out for the first out here in the 8th.
Shaw moving the outside corner and had some success. 3 consecutive cut fastballs to the outside part of the plate.
Bring up Starlin Castro, 0 for 3 on the afternoon. 3 groundouts today. Castro 1 hit in 6 at-bats. A walk and a strikeout against Brian Shaw.
Desmond still playing on the grass. Everybody else moved back. Obviously tried to turn 2 traditional way.
We saw the Marlins score late runs against the Dodgers. And they kind of blew the game open, and they needed those insurance runs the other night. There's Castro, flies one out to right field. Will it be deep enough? Dahl's throw from right. Here comes Holiday, gets away, and he's in there safely. It got away from Walters. He recovered. Holiday thought he missed home plate, so he went back and then beat the secondary tag, and it's 3-0 Miami.
Yeah, getting the job done. We continue to talk about it with this Marlins team. Medium deep fly ball to right. Ball beats Holiday. Great job of going outside. Ooh, right. I thought he got home plate the first time through. He had to go back for some more just to make sure, and he does. Watch the first time. Maybe he got it on the way by, but he clearly knew he didn't. Walters in desperation. Probably frustrated he did not catch that.
Well, that's the thing. In a day and age with replay, like, you have to go back. You can't just sell it like, oh, of course I touched home plate, and then hope the umpire believes you.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that there was no hint to the safe call until he went back and touched it the second time. So good job by Holiday. He wasn't trying to sell it or trick anybody. He knew he needed to get back there. So a big 3rd run.
And both runners moved up, by the way. So Rio Muto up to second and Shuck over to third. Three 0 Marlins after Castro's sac fly and some acrobatics, as it were, for Brian Holiday. Sonny Black having some words for home plate umpire Fielding Culbreth. Not sure what they're discussing, but this has gone on for pretty much since he came out of the dugout. They walked out to the mound. They're still chit-chatting. Buddy Black just probably trying to figure out whether or not Culbreth got his Cafecito cup today. That has to be it. What else could it possibly be?
Bud Black knows his offense has been slow in this series.
They were appealing the tag at home. Or that he actually touched home plate. Either way, the run is going to hold up. Want to know to Anderson, who singled and scored in the second. Way outside. Also popped up down the first base line and foul ground. Nice play by Ian Desmond to make it so that Anderson's at bat did not continue. Not an easy play for him, but either way, that was out number 3 of the 6th inning. Here we are with 2 outs in the 8th, and the Marlins having scored a run in the 2nd, a run in the 4th, a run in the 8th. Popped up. Very shallow right, may even sneak back to the infield. Valleca makes the play, and that'll do it. One more across. It's 3-0 as we go to the 9th. Go to the 9th inning. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen brings in Brad Ziegler, 3rd pitcher of the day for the Marlins. Again, brought to you by the Florida Lottery, where it's good to have options. That's why the Florida Lottery has over 70 unique scratch-off games, so add a little play to your day with these new games. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Claim it. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Well, it won't be easy for Ziegler as he's got the top of the order for the Rockies. Charlie Blackmon, Ian Desmond, Nolan Arenado.
Ziegler sitting on 97 career saves. Good numbers in his career. Against the Colorado Rockies, career .341 ERA in 41 games. Got 4 saves against them as well. Picked up his first save of the season on April 8th against Philadelphia.
So the defensive alignment on Blackman, but also the defensive changes. Maben in left, Shuck in right. Rolled down the first baseline, fair ball. Nice job by Real Muto. One away. Stay tuned for our Marlins Live postgame show presented by WB Mason, Craig Minervini, Gabby Sanchez on the set. Caleb Smith, another terrific outing. 9 strikeouts in 7 innings pitched. We'll hear from the skipper, Don Mattingly, and if the score holds up, it'll be after another series win. But again, Desmond and Arenado with 1 out here in the 9th. Desmond singled in the 1st, was caught stealing. Also a strikeout in the 4th, a walk in the 7th. And a ball and 2 strikes here in the 9th.
This has been a very frustrating series for the Rockies offense. And 2 runs scored to this point here in game 3.
Two and 2. Desmond 1 for 7. A couple of RBIs and a strikeout in his career against Brad Ziegler. Ziegler hasn't pitched since the second game of, or the 3rd game rather, the 2nd win in the Dodgers series. A called strike 3. There are 2 outs in the 9th.
Wow, what a slider. Starts off as a ball, inside corner. Desmond gives up on it, steers itself back to the inside corner. Well executed pitch by Brad Ziegler.
Well, those were big outs to get Blackman and Desmond in front of Arenado, who is a .400 hitter. 4 for 10 with a double in his career against Ziegler, who delivers strike 1.
I'll say this the right way. I think you can become a bit more brave against Arenado when you get the first 2 guys out, right?
Absolutely.
In a lot of ways, that's been the case of this series. As said through the ages, you know, ideally you want to control one of the hottest hitters in a particular lineup. Make sure you get the guys out in front and the guys out behind that hottest hitter. Marlins have done a great job.
Flicks it out into right field, and that is his first hit of this series. So again, they have kept him and the batters around him very quiet throughout, but Arenado is on base with 2 away.
Now, you continue to talk about how much action away Arenado has seen throughout this series, so I'm sure his eyes were set out on that outside corner from Caleb Smith today. Majority of pitches to the outer 3rd, that off the outside corner, able to just dump it in right field.
And now Trevor Story. 0-1. Story 0 for 3, reached on a fielder's choice back in the 7th.
He's got a 7-game hitting streak. You mentioned hitless today.
Kyle Bearclaw got the save after last night's game. Don Mattingly was asked where was Brad Ziegler. He said he just didn't feel it 100%. So went with Bear Claw. Ziegler back today and 1 strike away from career save number 98.
Well, Ziegler looks right today. Lots of depth on his pitches. Remember, you don't see tons of velocity from Brad, but you do see lots of tilt when he's on, and you're seeing it. The fastball sinking. The slider is, well, sliding.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. Ziegler gets the out. He gets the save. The Marlins get the victory. They win the series 2 out of 3 from the Rockies, and the Marlins have now won 4 of 5. It's a 3-0 win for the Marlins. Back to wrap it up from Marlins Park next.